Welcome to StockInvest.us podcast. We remind you that trading involves a high risk of losing money, and that you should speak with a financial advisor before buying or selling any securities. You should not base your investment decision upon StockInvest.us. By using the information provided, you agree and are held liable for your own investment decisions.
Hi and welcome to StockInvest.us podcast for week 22. It's Jim, and I will guide you through the next 30 minutes where we will look at the stock market ahead of us. We will look at the major stocks. We will even look at crypto. And at the very end, we will look at my portfolio. Last week, I told you that my gut feeling was that Nasdaq would fall this week. I also told you that the technical picture, looking at the charts, all indicated that the market actually should go up. So my gut feeling was totally wrong. Nasdaq moved up 2% last week, closing at 13,749 points. Dow Jones, which has been up 6 out of the last 7 weeks, was up 321 points, or 1%, ending at 34,529. So right now, Nasdaq is again up towards the resistance level at 14,000 points and Dow Jones at the 35,000 level. Will they be able to break it, or is this the week where it will start to fall again? We will have a look at the chart shortly. Before that, we will just run through some fundamental news data, and that might give a certain idea about how the week will be. As I told you before, one of the things that you want to look into is the 10-year Treasury yield. I told you last week that I expect the Treasury yield to start move rapidly, and when it do, it can cause very red days in the market. Well, behold, last week the Treasury yield actually sunk a little bit and is currently at 154. That is very good for the stock market, but still I cannot understand how the forthcoming inflation, we already know there is inflation, we know there will be more inflation, how it not can reflect in the Treasury yield. But market decides, it's not up to me, I just tell you what I think, and I still believe that the Treasury yield will go up and that it will go fast. Question is, will it be this week? We know that this week we will know how the unemployment rate for May was. For those who remember, April came in below expectations, way below expectations, ending at 6.1%. For May, it's expected that the unemployment rate will fall to 5.9%. So this is a number that you can remember. If the unemployment rate will come in higher than 5.9%, well, that should for sure scare the markets. If it's better, we can have this one rally that I've been speaking about where Nasdaq pushes above 14,000 and head for new records. During the pandemic, US lost more than 22 million jobs. They have retrieved 40 of them back, but still 8 more million people is unemployed compared to before the pandemic. Reading the news, we can see that many people do not want to work. They want to stay home due to the unemployment benefits. How this will be handled is hard to say. But what we know is that it's hard to get people, despite the 6% unemployment rate, it's hard to get people, and this causes labor prices to go up. Again, another thing that points toward higher inflation. The other thing I told you is keep an eye on the gold. And as I said, I expect gold to go back up to the 2000 level. And last week was a good week for gold, up another $30 and is now traded around $1,909 per ounce. So gold is still rising. So we can see that people are tending towards security still, security in the gold. Oil prices remain high at $67, and there is no signs right now that it will decline. OPEC countries have stated that they have no intention to increase the oil production. Usually they do when it's such good oil prices, they start to increase their productions. But they said latest today that they will not increase in any foreseeable future. So that is just another trigger to push the oil price up. In addition, there is also this environmental aspect about oil, which push a lot of political pressure against oil companies and oil production. But my guess is that when things starts to become really expensive, you have to remember your mobile phone, your computer, everything is made out of oil. And as oil prices go up, well, it will affect not only the energy prices, but also consumption goods, which are made out of plastic. So my guess is that as prices rises, we will see some shifts toward also this. And at some point, the oil production will go up again. But right now, everything indicates that oil will stay high and just maybe even continue upwards. Luckily, there is no real escalation in the Middle East. There is peace quiet between Israel and Palestine. No big news from Iran, and that Ukraine is even still. That's a good sign for the markets because we know that any violence or escalation around usually can be a negative trigger towards stock markets. And if we go a few podcasts back, I told you there was a chip shortage in the market and that you could start look for companies who is involved somehow into the chip production. Computer chips, car chips used everywhere for electronics. And right now you can read in the news that it's catching the market. This chip shortage is catching the market and people are starting to look for companies where to invest. And one of these companies is ASML Holding. It's making ultraviolet lithography technology used to print these advanced chips. But this stock is traded with a PE of 45. Is there more to get? You never know, but they are probably making quite good money right now and will do so. It's expected that this chip shortage may last well out into next year. Some other companies that you can look into in this matter is Applied Materials, AMT, and Lam Research. These stocks are traded with far less price-earning ratio, which indicate that there might be a good upside in these stocks. That was just a few tips. We will get back to the market, and if we look at buy signals across the world, we can see that right now our system, analyzing more than 32,000 tickers across the world, find 33% buy signals. So it's been on upturn for 5 weeks now. The buy signal's been increasing again. And as I said, it's currently 33% buy signal. Last time market turned very fast down. It was all the way up at 38.39, so it still can climb a little compared to previous levels. Nasdaq is 35% buy signals. The last time Nasdaq had a really red week, the buy signals were all the way up in 40 and 50 level. New York Stock Exchange been high for weeks and weeks, 49% buy signals, London 38% buy signals, Frankfurt 31% buy signals, and Tokyo 24, and Shenzhen, China 26. So all in all, the markets are quite optimistic around the world. There is no real unbalance. It's neither too high, neither too low. So it's somewhat steady, I would say. And that brings us to the question, how will the markets do? Well, we will just have a quick peek into the major stocks before we try to answer that question. And we will, as usual, start with Apple. Last week I told you I believe Apple would end around $120, that it would continue the fall, which has been in for several weeks now. Apple ended the week at 124.61, so I was not spot on this week. But if we look at the Apple chart, we can see that again Apple is heading towards the bottom of the slight rising trend. Has sell signals from the short-term moving average, have sell signals from the long-term moving average. Volume is this time following the stock, as I told you last time. If there is a divergence, it's usually where the price go up, the volume go down. It usually indicates change. And the stock fell just as expected. But this week, the volume is actually following the stock, and that is a good sign. So to me, that indicates that Apple might just fall to around 122 before it turns up a little bit. Relative strength index is relative low, it's 44. So not high, not oversold, not overbought, and still have room to go upwards. But with lots of resistance around 126, 128, I don't think that Apple will break that level. It will just have a slight peak up before continuing down. By the end of the week, I don't manage to see Apple much higher than it is today. Actually, I think it will be very close to where it is today. So the target for Apple will be 124. Moving forward to the next stock is Microsoft. Last week I told you that I believe Microsoft will end the week at 235. I was spot on both on Apple and Microsoft last week. But for this week, I was a bit off. Microsoft ended at $249. So Microsoft actually had a good week, I would say. And if we look at the Microsoft chart, we can see that the stock has a buy signal from the short-term moving average, but still a sell signal from the long-term moving average. It's within a somewhat good trend, pointing upwards. And until this is broken, everything indicates that it will still continue upwards. And this was what I said about the market last week, that generally when it's a trend, it usually stays within the trend. And everything indicates that Apple, at least for this week, will remain within the trend. Divergence in volume, meaning that the price is going up, the volume is going down, is never a good sign. Indicates to me that Microsoft will struggle during the week. It might go a little bit up, but I don't see the stock push very high. I believe that we will see Microsoft move between $240 and $252 for the week as such, ending actually lower than today. The main reason for this is the divergence in volume. And over the last, I would say, 5 weeks, we've seen decreasing interest in tech stocks. Money is moving elsewhere, and I don't simply think there is enough momentum to push the stock up. Of course, if Nasdaq really starts to push, if the labor numbers are extremely good, and market really get a grip again, because now it's been moving sideways for months, well, we can get in a situation where we will see momentum back into these tech stocks. But in general, like in Zoom I expect to deliver Q results this week. And most people believe that they will be disappointing. Netflix did not manage to continue the super subscription growth they had during COVID pandemic, as we're getting out of the pandemic now. And people think the same thing will happen to Zoom. And my guess is they believe that Microsoft also will have a general negative trend in the sales numbers. All in all, I believe that Microsoft will end the week closer to $245. Nothing particularly spectacular during the week, more or less a slow week. And we will go to Tesla, and finally, I was very close to my guess for Tesla. Tesla is usually a very hard stock to predict. Last week I said I believe Tesla will end somewhere around $620, and it actually ended $5 above 625.22 for Tesla. So Tesla is doing exactly what we expected. It's moving upwards. We sent you some newsletters. We made you aware that there was a possible very good trading range in Tesla, and Tesla is currently following the expectations. If you look at the Tesla chart, we know from before that there's really no big resistance before the 660, 680 level, later 700. The stock has a buy signal from a double bottom, indicating that the stock should push all the way up to 900. But as I said last week, I don't think that will happen. As we both wrote in the newsletter and as I said in this podcast, I believe that Tesla will go up to 680. What happens after is much harder to say, simply because it will face a lot of resistance. And if we look at the volume, there is a really not big volume pushing Tesla right now. It's actually a divergence. And as I said just 2 minutes ago, divergence is usually not a good sign. Some support just below today's level, buy signal from the short-term moving average, sell signal from the long-term moving average, and as I said, there is this huge buy signal from the double bottom. Relative strength index is moving upwards. When we started to recommend you to buy Tesla at 560, it was just because it hit 19 at the relative strength index level and was way oversold. So far, it's been moving exactly as we expect, and if just trying to predict 1 week ahead, I will not be surprised if it take a dive down back to 600 and then push upwards. But to me, it looks like it will push upwards to 660 and later 680. So I will put the target for Tesla this week at $660. So we remain positive to Tesla. Amazon, usually the one stock that I always hit straight on. Well, I missed last week by $123. I thought Amazon would end the week at 3,100, but the week was good. As we said, the Dow Jones made 2%, and Amazon ended the week at $3,223. However, I am not very optimistic in the future of Amazon right now. The stock price, have to say that it's within a very nice trend, and usually the trend remains. But again, it's the same situation like last week. There is really no volume, and this worries me. It's a divergence. The stock price is going sideways, slightly up, but volume continued to fall. There's hardly any interest in these stocks right now. And you just need that right market mix where things can go quite bad. And all the people who still are in the stock decide that they will get out before it gets into a major loss. I've seen this happen many times before, moving sideways slightly up and don't manage to get the momentum needed, and suddenly it starts to collapse at higher speed. I don't think there will be a collapse in Amazon stock, but to me it really looks like it should trend downwards. For the week as such, it's not any real big signs of scary moves. It has a sell signal from the short-term moving average, the long-term moving average. Relative strength index is 54, not particularly high, but last time it was 83 before turning down, so it's not particularly high. Some support at 3,200, later at 3,150 and 3,000. On the upside, the stock meets resistance at 3,250, 3,300 and 3,400. And this resistance is the reason why I don't believe the stock will manage to do very well. To me, it looks like it will move sideways between 3,150 and 3,270 this week. That will be the trading range as I see it, and I believe that it will end closer to 3,150 by the end of the week, breaking that rising trend, and again just slowly signal that this big fund, which has been for years and years now, might be at the very end. Anyway, still things remain positive. It's more positive now than it was just some months ago, so don't be too scared about it yet. But there are slight signs indicating that we are heading towards harder market, and the lack of volume is one of these. So the target for Amazon will be 3,150 for this week. And before we head into maybe the most interesting right now, Bitcoin and DogeCoin, the crypto market. Looking at all these stocks, we can see that our system at StockInvest.us hold Apple and Amazon and Microsoft as hold candidates. Even our algorithms, just computer science, is unsure that these stocks will continue upwards. It's not sure it will fall. So it's kind of the same thing like last week. I was not sure if the market would go up or if it would go down. I was tending towards down, trusting my gut stomach feeling. Looking at these charts and the things that I just said, well, everything is indicating a horizontal movement this week with no particular upturn or even downturn. We have to choose either. What will it be? Will the market be very green this week? Well, I still have this stomach feeling that we will see falls in the market. At the same time, I was wrong last week. So in best case, it will just go horizontal. But again, I will try to trust my gut stomach feeling, and I will bet on a red week as such. There will be some green days, but my bet is still the red week. And that we will push downwards because I don't see the momentum in the stocks. I don't see enough volume in either Amazon, neither Tesla, Apple, these big stocks. Enough momentum to manage to push the stock market and Nasdaq above 14,000 right now. And usually when you're not able to do it, you try. At one point you give up. And very often these things then go into, at least for sure, a few very red days. Hopefully it will not be this week, but that will be the final evaluation, that we will have a red week as such. And again, like last week, I hope I will be wrong. I was very negative to Bitcoin last week and said that I might be wrong. But if we look 2 weeks ahead, I'm pretty sure that Bitcoin will go down to the 27,000 level. It for sure did not end at 27,000 this week. It ended Friday at 34,000 during the week, and it was traded down to 32, I think, but it never got all the way down to 27. It went up, just as I said, to around some 40,000 and then struggled and back down to 30,000. And this gives me the reason to believe that it will continue to struggle for the week ahead of us. If this will be the last week before we see new upturns, not really sure. The big problem, again, is that there is really no support below 35,000. And if you have that right mix where things get a little negative, some big whales sell or whatever, you can have these huge fall simply because there is no support levels to catch up on the fall. If we look at relative strength index, we can see that it's very low. Usually that gives some room for a upturn, but not always. Sell signals from the short-term moving average, sell signal from the long-term moving average, and tons of resistance above today's level. First at 40,000, right now is 37,000, then 40,000, later at 45, and a huge amount of resistance between $50,000 and $65,000. So there has to be something very special for Bitcoin to push through this resistance as the market is right now. You really never know, but I think that you should bet for a good stock market, helping also the crypto market up, or some major news in the financial world relating to cryptocurrency being the future of monetary system. Hard to say exactly how it will be this week. Volume is falling, the price is falling, and that's a good sign by itself. But this lack of support below today's level really worries me. I said last week that I might be wrong, but if we go 2 weeks ahead, I'm pretty sure that we will see Bitcoin down to $27,000. So I will stick to that same argument and say that I believe during this week we will see new falls for Bitcoin. Could be as low as the low 20s, and that it will end the week somewhere around $27,000. I would also like to point out that this may not necessarily mean that the fun in Bitcoin is over. To me, more or less, this is just normal reactions. You have to remember how fast Bitcoin been moving upwards. It's just struggling to find that plateau where it turns upwards again. But to me, it might be that when we get to the end of next week, we can finally start to see levels building up for a new upturn for crypto. But not this week. Like I said last week, I advised my daughter to buy on the dip. We bought on the dip. We got out, not exactly on the top, but we went out because we expected to continue downwards, which it currently is doing. And if it gets hard enough dip, I will be in again, and I guess my daughter as well will be in again. It's for her to decide. We will see. Any level around 2025 will, in my opinion, be a good dip level where you can make some good short-term cash on Bitcoin. DogeCoin is another super popular crypto, and last week I said that I believe DogeCoin would end somewhere around 25 cents. By Friday it ended at 30 cents, so a little bit off. And if we look at the Dogecoin, I like more what I see in Dogecoin than I do in Bitcoin, and I told you this I think over the last 2-3 podcasts as well. Dogecoin is closer to good support levels where you can expect things to turn. Had two bottoms in the relative strength index, first at 32 and just a few days ago at 26. It's currently being oversold on the relative strength index. With this little support below, I think everything is settled for an upturn in Dogecoin. So while I expect to see Bitcoin fall, and when Bitcoin fall being the major crypto, you will see a short-term reaction in Dogecoin. But as I said, I think it must have been 2 or 3 podcasts ago, that I believe Dogecoin will do very good compared to Bitcoin. So for Dogecoin, I expect that we might go down to this 25 cent level, but it will push upwards. I got this feeling that when we get to the end of the week, we will see Dogecoin higher than today. Currently holds a sell signals from the short-term moving average, the long-term moving average, but as I say, the relative strength index is good, and volume is also very little following the price, another good sign. Difference between Bitcoin and Dogecoin right now is that Dogecoin got that support level below, so it should hold better if the cryptos continue to fall. And at some point, people will start to pick up on crypto again. And doing so, I think that it could be, as I said, by the end of the week. And Dogecoin, for me, well, it seems like it should end somewhere around 35 cents by the end of the week. So we will keep last week's target, 35 cents. Also for Dogecoin. Like to correct myself there, it was 30 cents last week, but this week we will make it 35 cents for Dogecoin. So in general, we can sum up this far, and we see that the stock market, the The technical indicators still indicate that there is more room for a short-term upturn, but we have this divergence in volume, which makes everything more unsecure. For the cryptocurrency markets indicated that there is still more downturn to come, but as I say, by the end of the week might turn into good buying opportunities, and I think that there will be these, especially these dips, if market falls very hard. And the reason why I think it will fall hard is because in especially Bitcoin, there is no support under 35. So once it starts to trade under 35, you can have these wild reactions where it fall down to 25 in just a few hours, and that will be obvious buying signals where you can buy the dip. Buy at 25 out at 30, 35. Buy at 22 out at 28, 32, something like that. We are getting close to the end of this podcast. We are already 30 minutes into the podcast, and I promised you not to be much more than 30 minutes. We will end the podcast as we usually do, looking at my portfolio, and it was a good week last week for the portfolio. Not extremely good, but good enough. The portfolio I referred to in this podcast is one of my portfolio, and it's the high-risk portfolio, which usually do very good when market is good and not so good when markets are bad, simply because it's an overweight of penny or medium stocks. When we started this podcast, I was both into Microsoft and Apple, but as you know, last time I sold Apple was 135, and I don't see any reason why I should go into these big tech stocks in this portfolio right now. So there is no stocks which I consider low-risk stocks that I don't expect huge movements. Right now it's only medium and high-risk stocks. And for those who really follow me for a long time know that I've been reducing my exposure in the stock market since Christmas, because I did not expect much more from the market. So right now I'm just gambling with some of all the profit I made during the pandemic. And I have still some of it in the medium high risk stock. I expect actually that I might do some changes during the week to try reposition, because it's been a slow portfolio for the last probably 12-13 weeks. Anyway, Diffusion Pharmaceuticals is on a slight upturn, ended last week at 70 cents. NEO, also a good week for NEO. NEO been performing worse than I thought, but I still believe in green tech, and I think that's where the growth will be. You will not see it in Apple or Microsoft. You will see it face back to Tesla, NEO, XPEV, and that kind of, let's call it tech/industry stocks. NEO ended at 38.62, and I believe that we will see more upturn in NEO in the week to come. PEGAS is still doing good, trading at 528 Norwegian kroner, and everything indicates that it will continue upwards. Abus is at 283, was good up since last week, but still a loss since Christmas. Ur Energy, very stable, I would say. It's 146. Last week it was 153, so it's a little bit down over the week as such, but still at very good levels. We currently hold a profit of 48, almost 49% in Ur Energy, and it might be one of these stocks I will consider to change. I will have a wee look at the charts and the development to see, but in general, I like the stock, I like the product. And I think there is more to come, but still it will be on my watch list. This very small pink stock, Velocity Energy, jumping up and down to 4 cents, up to 8 cents. Had a very good week, ending up 70%, but it's only 8 cents right now, and it's down since I put it in. But as I said, it's the kind of stock that need a green stock market and some volume, and it moves quite rapidly. I keep it as my little lottery ticket. Tencent Music, the one stock that I really believe in, that will do good, still is with a loss. Last week ended at 15.74, so it's up during the week, but it's still a loss since I took it in the portfolio. But Buffett also bought her, so we will see. Maybe me and Buffett will be correct, or we will have to take a loss in Tencent Music. Last stock in the portfolio right now is Sumerica. It's a stock that moves much during a day, currently trading at 84 cents, and it was up over the week as such. And as I told you, it's a huge risk in this stock. They don't sell much of their product, hardly make any money, but they still have lots of cash from their last stock offering, where they sold several stock. I think they got close to $220 million on the book, and they have said that they would start to look into buying up some companies to strengthen their portfolio. And I think we will see some news, and some news will push Sumerica up. I don't have the highest target, as I told you before, getting somewhere close to 130, 150, and I might just get out because there is really not any substance in Sumerica right now. It's mostly air. That was all for today. We are short one day this trading week with Memorial Day today, so we'll only be 4 trading days. I hope that you will have 4 nice trading days, that you will do good. For all of you who is trading AMC, GME, I wish you the best of luck. I think that you should be very close on the trigger and watch the stock extremely closely. Whatever goes extremely fast up usually go fast down. That's just a tip. Enjoy the train as long as it runs, but don't cry if it goes the wrong way. Keep an eye on it. The very last piece of advice, we are starting to publish lots of video on our YouTube channel. You can go to YouTube and you will find it at StockInvest.us. There you will find training videos where I show you a little bit about how to read the charts. You will find our podcast with subtitles if it's hard to understand what I'm saying, so you can listen to the same thing but with subtitles. You'll also find one new product that we just launched. You will find some technical commentaries of stock with additional info published. These videos will continue to grow both in size and content, and if you have anything that you wish we should include into the videos, don't hesitate to send us a mail. You can send us a mail, whatever it is, even just to say hello. Until next week, I hope you will have a good week, and it will be green, and we will speak again in just a week. Bye.